Okay. Hopefully I'm here and hopefully you guys can hear me. I just wanted to go live real quick because uh-oh, I be bicking back in the background, not really saying too much, but I see that Nick Shirley done like exploded the internet all the way back over up to Governor Tim Walz, and Tim Walz has something to say just a few minutes ago, like I don't know, a few minutes ago. So I did want to come on here and just like look at this thing together. So this is an article that was published 8:31, um, which was an hour ago. And it's Tim Walz pushes back on Minnesota fraud allegations following a viral daycare video. And let's click on here and
While rampant fraud is going on in Minnesota, their Lieutenant Governor, Peggy Flanagan, well, she's busy making a giant fool of herself, wearing a hijab to stand in solidarity with the Somalis.
Salam alaikum. My name's Peggy Flanagan. I am the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, and I'm really honored and humbled to be here with all of you today. I am incredibly clear that the Somali community is part of the fabric of the state of Minnesota.
Well, thankfully, some are trying to expose the theft of taxpayer dollars in that state, including our next guest. Joining us now is independent journalist Nick Shirley, whose video documenting those suspicious activities at child care centers in the state has gone massively viral. All right, Nick, we've had you on this show before. You know, I'm a longtime follower of yours. You've done incredible work. I know you're an incredible investigative journalist on the ground. But I guess my question is this. How much investigating did you actually have to do to find these centers, some of them that have misspelled signs? Did you just find them easily, or how did you go about this? Because it's amazing to me that nobody else besides you saw a problem here when they can't even spell on the side of a learning center, Nick.
Okay. Before he answers, I'm so sorry. Shout out to Nick Shirley because he was boots on the ground, like literally boots on the ground. If you know Minneapolis, you know, like he was boots on the ground, going to these places, looking at it. He did good, very, very, very good research. So um, let's see how hard that was for him to do.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I have to give props to the man by the name of David who helped me in this investigation. He's been doing research for years trying to expose this fraud. And nobody has given him the time of day to even talk about this. So with his help and my own investigation, I've known about the fraud taking place for a long time. Minnesotans have been telling me for a long time about the Somali fraud that is taking place. And with his help, we were able to crack over $110 million in fraud in one day. And that's just the tip. When people say it's the tip of the iceberg, it really is, because there's billions of fraud inside the state of Minnesota right now.
Nick, kind of on that topic, you said that, I believe you just said his name was David, has been researching this for years. In your experience or in your opinion, just spending the day you spent out there tracking this down, is there any way that this hasn't reached the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz? I mean, take aside ongoing litigation or what have you, but is there any way that he could claim ignorance on this?
Hell no. To the no. Hell, I mean, I'm going to let him go ahead and answer allegedly.
Just in your experience over this investigation.
Oh, it's so obvious. If you're living in Minnesota, you have to raise your eyebrows and think, what's going on? Literally, if you drive around Minnesota, around Minneapolis, you will see daycare centers, autism centers. You will then see transportation companies that have snow piled up as if they haven't moved in months. And then you also go into buildings where there'll be 20 healthcare companies, 14 and 22, the video that I published on X and YouTube. So it is like a kindergartner could figure out that there's fraud going on.
Nick, one of the most shocking things to me in the video that you posted was the reaction of some of the Somalis that you were interacting with. The one clip where they called the cops on you for simply asking about some of the healthcare companies, the 20 healthcare companies that were located in one building. Tell us a little bit about what your interactions were like on the ground.
Yeah, they couldn't even I gave them plenty of opportunities to just answer simple questions. I wasn't going in with some crazy hard hitting question. I was asking them exactly from the paper, where's this money? Where are the kids? You have a capacity for 99 children. Where are the children? And why are all the windows blacked out? So these people simply could not answer the most simple questions as to where are the children inside these daycare centers.
Nick, when I was your age, I used to watch all the local news stations, and every local news operation had a roving reporter who would go around and find waste, fraud, and abuse. Are there local reporters like that in your area? And why do you think they weren't doing the work that you did?
I don't know. They're scared of being called nowadays because it's Somalians that are committing this fraud. People are scared to be called Islamophobic, racist, in which has nothing to do with what's going on, because fraud is fraud. It doesn't matter if it's a black person, white person, Asian person, Mexican. Fraud is fraud. And we work too hard simply just to be paying taxes and enabling fraud to be happening.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, it's stunning. Congratulations.
Okay. I agree with that. I'm sorry. I want to pause it there because I definitely agree with that. I hear, yeah, it's Somali fraud. No, fraud is fraud. This rabbit hole goes deeper. I promise you. I promise you. And it's not just this. And I want to make a few connections, but I want to let him finish because this just dropped that apparently Governor Walz had something to say about.
Congratulations again on your video, by the way. Well deserved. All these people are finding it and finding you and all the good work that you do. But Governor Tim Walz is pushing back on the investigations into the Somali community over the massive welfare fraud that's happened under his watch. Take a look at this.
This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy.
So it sounds to me, Nick, that Governor Tim Walz is saying that you and others that are out there trying to expose this, you're doing it because you're white supremacists. What is your response to him?
Yeah, Tim wants votes. There are entire apartment complexes where white people have been pushed out of these apartment complexes because Somalians have taken over and they're inside of these towns like Minneapolis, where they can go get votes from these people. And if you have 100,000 people that will vote for you because you're going to enable and let this stuff happen, and because you're going to call a white person racist for calling out facts, this is what's going to happen to a state like Minnesota. Minnesotans, they say Minnesota nice, but they are very upset. And I totally understand why they're upset, because they don't have a governor who's actually working for them. He's actually working against them.
Man, look, that is deep. And seriously, white supremacy, because he's calling out independent places who have documented documents, I should say, of millions of dollars coming in where there are no people, no cars parked. You guys can please go watch Nick Shirley's video about this if you're interested. But I'm just going to keep bringing it back to, yes, this is massive fraud. And can we look into fraud as a whole? Because the very streets that we're looking at, and we're looking at Somali restaurants and Somali daycares, man, are y'all looking up and down those streets? I digress. Just gonna put that on a sticky note. Dang, blasted, I'm muted. So while I am looking at that, want to go ahead and let's,
that is beyond anyone's imagination, the scope. And so, for example, there's a child care not far from here in Minneapolis that has two child cares listed at the same address. And together they're licensed supposedly for 120 children. I have never seen a single child there ever. And I've been by that place at least 100 times.
These Somalians, these groups are setting up these daycares, these childcare centers, getting money from the government, but there's no kids.
No kids. Never had any of them. They're all fraught with violations. And even though they have these violations, they're still in operation and they're still getting money. And it's millions of dollars for every one of them every year.
And who's getting the money? And where are they getting the money from?
So we have a thing called CCAP. It's a blend of federal and state money. The bottom line is it's taxpayer money. So it's state money and it's federal money. And the problem is the people at the state of Minnesota are the ones writing the checks. This is kind of the maddening thing is you have daycare. So you have adult daycare and then you have child care and then you have health care. And a lot of these same names keep coming up on all of these different types of businesses.
okay, I'm pausing it there because you have adult daycare, child daycare, health care, and then you also have other industries that are in the mix with tax dollars and violence prevention and what is it, public safety and all that. All I'm saying is if we're gonna look at the fraud, we gotta look at all of the fraud. Like Pokemon, gotta catch them all. So yeah. Let's go.
What are we looking at?
The areas of fraud
Oh, my bad.
still in operation and they're still getting money. And it's millions of dollars for every one of them every year.
And who's getting the money? And where are they getting the money from?
So we have a thing called CCAP. It's a blend of federal and state money. The bottom line is it's taxpayer money. So it's state money and it's federal money. And the problem is the people at the state of Minnesota are the ones writing the checks. This is kind of the maddening thing is you have daycare. So you have adult daycare and then you have child care and then you have health care. And a lot of these same names keep coming up on all of these different types of businesses. And then, of course, we have the transportation. A lot of those same names appear, a lot of the same addresses. There's one building that has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address. There's another building in St. Paul that has 22 Somali healthcare businesses at the same address.
And the government knows about this.
The government knows they're writing the checks. Yeah, the Democrats over there just writing the checks. What has happened is that the Somali community is a very closed community. They will not speak to anyone outside the community and talk about what's going on within the community. They vote as a block. And so when you're a politician, you're saying, look, I've got 100,000 people in Minnesota that if I do something for the community, they're going to vote for me. And that's what it's all
Period.
about.
And that's what it's all about. I'm going to keep bringing it back to not just the Somalians. When you have people that you're giving money to in whatever way, whether it's through federal funding or state funding, and they're not utilizing those dollars correctly, it should be looked into. And I find it very disturbing that people such as this man has been speaking on it forever. There are people all over that have actually been saying something, and to have this be covered up at higher levels, and just for me to know that how high it goes, and just looking at Governor Walz and the people who he has appointed, just oh my gosh, like the rabbit hole is crazy.
Is getting the votes. And then the people here in Minnesota, you hear this term, Minnesota nice. I'm so sick of that term The people here are so afraid of being called a racist or an Islamophobe, and they're afraid of their own shadow. And I don't understand. This is our future generations are going to have to pay for all this fraud, and they just want to bury their heads in the sand and go on and just not worry about it. Tim Walz saying there's organized crime in Minnesota. What did he do about it? Nothing. You got organized crime? What are you doing? This is the Minnesota law, which mandates that anyone who knows of fraud and is a state employee must report that fraud. It's Minnesota Statute 3.971, Subdivision 9. Not only that, but Walz is also guilty of misconduct of a public employee. When I look at the world as a whole and I look at fraud, the Twin Cities is ground zero. The fraud is worse here than anywhere else ever in history, anywhere.
We're going to go confront these people. We're going to go to these daycare centers. We're going to see what's actually happening.
Okay, so we have to be careful because these people are very violent. They're exceptionally violent.
Now, with all of David's evidence, we headed out to the streets of Minneapolis to see how much fraud we could uncover in one afternoon. Where are we going now?
We're going to a place called Mako Child Care, which actually has another child care registered at the same address called Mini Child Care Center.
So we should see lots of children if there's this child care center, especially if there's two.
The two of them combined are licensed for 120.
And how much money have these child care centers received?
Okay, let's go
About
just so we can see, and then we're gonna.
Out right here. All right, let's go in.
no.
And the child care center is locked. Should we ring the doorbell?
Okay, so go over there to his video to finish that, and we're gonna go back to the news story. Here we go.
Reveal too much, but the fraud exposing will continue. There's lots of things happening here inside of America and across the world. And so just showing people what things are, matter of fact based. I'm not trying to make things right or left, just trying to show everybody things as they really are, fact based. And you can say whatever you want. You can use all sorts of hate words and whatnot. But at the end of the day, my job is just to show people things as they really are. I'm not trying to put a right-wing twist or a left-wing twist on things. I'm just trying to show people things for as they really are.
Nick, I love that you're independent. And, this is the age of the independent journalists. Someone named Barry Weiss had a Substack. Now she's running CBS. Let me ask you, any job offers? Any networks want you to jump in and run their operation?
I mean, they might need help, a lot of them, but no, I'm 100% independent. And that's the reason why I'm able to do what I'm able to do, is because of people supporting me and people watching my videos. So when people support, it really means the world, whether it's just through simply watching, donations, anything like that. It really does make a difference because everything I do comes right from my fingers. So I don't have to go through a whole entire editorial desk or a newsroom to publish something. It all just comes straight from me, my camera, and the people that I surround myself with.
Well, Nick, we really appreciate everything that you've done.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So again, go over there if you have not seen like the boots on the ground version of Nick Shirley going around to different daycares and different learning centers that aren't even spelled correctly, that, the government has been continuing to give them money. So with that said, I'm going to get up out of here. I'm going to put the link in the description when I'm done. And until next time, sending love and light.